If you are a man looking for more energy, focus, and self-control, I have prepared a powerful ebook that will show you how semen retention can transform your life. Link in the first pinned comment. 1000 days. 1000 days. Without wasting energy, without giving in to impulse, without falling into old patterns that everyone thinks are normal. While many believe that retaining semen is just an internet fad, there are people reaping results that seem like something from another world, but which, in fact, have everything to do with the creator of the universe, with discipline and with the awakening of a force that has always been there, dormant. Most people are tired, distracted, emotionally broken, and don't even know why. But what if what you need most to achieve true peace, mental clarity, infinite energy, and even material prosperity is in the simple act of don't waste its essence? This may sound counterintuitive, perhaps even controversial. But I'm going to show you, step by step, 21 real observations from someone who walked this path for 1,000 days, with experiences so intense that they transformed his health, career, spirituality, and even the way he connects with the world. If you've ever felt lost, unfocused, tired of repeating cycles, this video could be the key. And no, we're not talking about forced abstinence. We are talking about power of conscience, from an ancient practice used by wise men, kings, and warriors. Today, it is within your reach. Ready to find out what happens when you take control of your life energy. Some people are always looking for miraculous solutions to have more energy in their daily lives, when, in fact, the body itself already holds the key. Since he started retaining, he noticed an almost immediate awakening. Before, I needed 9 hours of sleep to function. Now, at 5 or 6, he gets up with a sharp spirit, as if the very light of the creator of the universe renewed him during the night. And it's not mystical talk, no, it's vital energy redirected, without waste. The mind, which once felt like a radio with hiss, has transformed into a clean channel, tuned to clear ideas and directed focus. He started to plan his day better, solve tasks without procrastinating, and even had the energy to learn new things, like studying languages or reading books like The Power of Now and Rich Dad, Poor Dad. It's as if inner peace has settled in for good, allowing effortless focus. Only those who have experienced this clarity know how powerful it is. And the most curious thing is that this disposition also brought practical prosperity. Less time sleeping means more time creating, doing, living. He noticed that the projects began to flow, and the ideas seemed to come from a higher plane, as if the creator of the universe himself was slowly breathing his mission into his ear. But what happens when this accumulated energy begins to manifest itself in bolder attitudes? Retention doesn't just affect the physical, it affects the essence. After just a few months, he began to feel something different, a raw, serene strength that didn't need to scream to be noticed. It was as if the energy of the creator of the universe was welling up from within, restoring a forgotten masculinity. You know that courage that makes you stand up and say, "Enough?" So it is. He ended a relationship that was already lukewarm and realized that that was just the first step. This new sense of authority over oneself also impacted the work. He quit a secure but limiting job and took a chance on something that made his heart sing. Intuition screamed louder than fear, and he listened. It's as if the peace I felt was more valuable than any forced stability. In a short time, new opportunities emerged, and money began to flow more lightly, almost as if prosperity was just waiting for a yes from him. Interestingly, it was after all this that true love appeared. Not out of lack, but out of conscious choice. He was so aligned with the light itself that he attracted someone with the same frequency. Confidence radiated, but it wasn't arrogance. It was presence. That kind of presence that doesn't need to say much to be felt. And it was in this state that he began to see the world with different eyes. And his mind, more active than ever, entered the scene. The mind, when cleansed of excesses and distractions, becomes a tool of divine creation. He began to realize that he was no longer a hostage to his own thoughts. He was now the conductor. The ideas came clearly, as if the mind had been washed by the light of the creator of the universe. And it wasn't just clarity, it was a thirst to learn, to expand. Books that previously seemed dense became food. He devoured titles like The Seed of Victory, The Richest Man in Babylon, and The Power of the Subconscious. But it wasn't just theory. This new clarity lit an inner fire, the desire to share, to teach, to be a bridge for others who were also looking for peace and meaning. He created a YouTube channel without even thinking twice. The fear of judgment was crushed by conviction. He started posting videos with simple language, but full of content. And the most incredible thing is that people started to comment that they felt closer to the creator of the universe just by hearing those words. And with so much content bubbling inside, the impulse to write came. A book. A work that condensed his experiences, his pains, his discoveries. The name. Retention. The source of true prosperity. It was as if each page written opened a new level of consciousness. And as he wrote, he realized, the journey was just beginning, and everything that seemed big was still small compared to what was to come. Especially when this energy began to affect the way he expressed himself artistically. What I'm explaining here is much more detailed in my ebook, The Power of Semen Retention. There is a simple step-by-step guide for you to apply in your everyday life. It's really worth it. Before, composing was a drawn-out, almost painful process. Inspiration came and went like the wind. But with retention, something changed. The mind became so centered, so in tune with the frequency of light, that creativity began to flow like a river. He would wake up with melodies ready in his head, entire lyrics emerging in the shower. It was as if the creator of the universe had become his personal producer. Productivity soared, and he could barely keep up with so much new material emerging. This creative intensity soon began to attract attention. He got in touch with K-pop producers, and within a few weeks he was in the studio with names he had previously only seen on screen. A beat sent there, a lyric accepted here. Suddenly, contracts started to appear. But what caught our attention the most was the peace with which he dealt with everything. Even in the face of success, he did not lose himself. Did you know that real prosperity is not just fame, but freedom to create with purpose? And the universe seemed to conspire. Unexpected events happened, invitations to festivals, partnerships with European DJs, and even a song included in the series soundtrack. All of this without appealing, without forcing, just being him, vibrating at a high level. He was living proof that when you channel the right energy, results come. But the most curious thing is that, along with this artistic rise, he noticed something even more subtle. People started to notice him in a different way. It's funny how the body speaks when the soul is in order. Without changing anything in his care routine, he noticed his skin was firmer, his eyes were brighter, and even his teeth seemed whiter. It was as if the light of the creator of the universe began to emanate from his face. The explanation? Simple. The body stopped wasting energy and started to regenerate. Retention acts from the inside out. And the reflection of this appeared in the mirror, and in the looks I encountered on the street. At the market, at the gym, even in the elevator. The looks were different. It wasn't just aesthetics, it was magnetism. His aura was cleaner, more centered, more present. People approached, started conversations, even asked what he wore on his skin. But he knew. This was the result of internal peace and the direct connection with the creator of the universe. And yes, women noticed. But most importantly, he didn't need to seek approval. He just was, and that was enough. Casual interactions turned into deep conversations. It was as if all the senses were more awake. And self-confidence, that was the secret to social prosperity. He learned that it's not about standard beauty, but about presence. About arriving at a place and being noticed, not for appearance, but for vibe. And it was precisely at this stage that he began to observe how his communication was different. More empathetic, firmer, more authentic. Before he spoke too much or too little, never to the point. But something changed. With the mind in silence and the heart at peace, the words began to come with more intention. He listened better. I watched more. The answers came from deep within, as if the creator of the universe breathed into his mind the right thing to say. Clients began to trust more, friends opened up like never before. It was the presence. And true presence is rare. That's why it attracts so much attention. In meetings, he didn't fall over himself. I didn't need to prove anything. Silence became a tool. He realized that speaking less but more clearly generates more impact than any rehearsed speech. Even the gestures changed, softer, more conscious. And this new attitude generated results. Clients closing contracts without blinking, in-depth conversations with strangers, and even old reconciliations. It was prosperity in relationships, flowing lightly. He even started guiding others to do the same. recommended books like Nonviolent Communication or The Body Speaks, because he understood that true communication begins within. When you are connected to your inner light, speech stops being just noise, it becomes a bridge. And each bridge built opened the way to an even deeper connection, with intuition. And that's when he started making decisions not with his head, but with his spirit. There are times when logic gets stuck. The mind tries to solve it, but the heart already knows the answer. And that's exactly what he started to experience. Intuition, previously muffled, became a silent GPS, accurate. It was as if the creator of the universe was giving signs all the time, and now he was finally listening to them. He had the courage to end relationships that he no longer had. Not out of anger, but out of wisdom. I felt, with an almost spiritual clarity, that this was no longer part of the path. Later, the same internal call led him to an even greater decision, to abandon music, just when everything was going well. It may sound crazy, but he felt like he had already completed the cycle there. The peace he felt after the decision was confirmation. He understood that living with purpose is not about following what works, it's about following what makes sense. The light of consciousness showed the next step, even if others didn't understand. And he no longer needed anyone's approval. These leaps of faith were only possible because he learned to listen to himself. The difference between intuition and impulse became clear. While impulse screams, intuition whispers. And when he began to trust her more, life became lighter, and surprisingly more prosperous. An example. After giving up music, invitations came to speak, write, and teach. And along with that, an unexpected desire was born to go out there, explore the world, walk alone, without a map, but with direction. When vital energy is preserved, the body demands movement. He began to feel a call to action, as if the very light of the creator of the universe was pushing him out of his comfort zone. I woke up early, wanting to explore. He started hiking, cycling, taking long walks in silence. Traveling alone, something that used to cause fear, has become a pleasure. He discovered that there is a peace that can only be found on the road, especially when the noise of the world is left behind. These external adventures also generated internal discoveries. During a trip to the interior, he spent a few days without access to bread, coffee, and other routine vices, and realized that he didn't miss them. When he returned home, he just didn't want it anymore. The body had readjusted itself. The discipline that began with retention now extended to habits. He swapped black coffee for lemon ginger tea, and bread for fresh fruit. Small choices, big impacts. Each new habit seemed to make room for more prosperity in the body and mind. I slept better, breathed deeper, thought more clearly. Even the posture changed. And it wasn't a forced change, it was a natural consequence of a more aligned lifestyle. He understood that when you honor your body, the body honors you in return. And it was precisely in this lighter flow that something curious happened. Old health symptoms began to disappear, almost without explanation. For years, he dealt with skin flare-ups and shortness of breath, especially in the colder months. Nothing really seemed to work: ointments, medicines, even homemade recipes. But curiously, after months of retention, he noticed something different. The itching stopped, the skin became more uniform, and the nose, previously always blocked, seemed freer. As if the creator of the universe was purifying your body from the inside. It may seem like an exaggeration, but whoever feels it, knows. He didn't make any major changes other than retention and new habits. The only real difference was the discipline and redirection of life energy. That same energy that was previously wasted was now rebuilding. Of course, he didn't go around saying that retention cures everything. That's not the point. But he began to believe that the body, in a state of peace, finds its own ways to restore itself. Health has become a consequence of alignment. Today, he wears a t-shirt in the cold without fear of a respiratory crisis. He started to take more care of what he puts into his body and mind. And if you ask if it was just a coincidence, he'll smile and say, "That could be, but since I stopped draining my energy, my health has only improved." And it is at this point that the emotional aspect also begins to reorganize. The mind becomes lighter, tensions disappear. And what used to generate anxiety and stress now seems to have lost its strength. You know that feeling of always being tired, even after resting? That disappeared. Retention, contrary to what many think, does not arrest, it frees. His mind, once a battlefield, became a silent garden. That mental fog that came after release simply disappeared. And in its place, peace came. A clarity that gave security to act, speak, decide. As if the light of the Creator of the universe illuminated each step. The anxiety attacks that came out of nowhere, they became rare, until they disappeared. He learned to breathe better, to observe his thoughts without getting lost in them. At work, this made all the difference. Presentations that used to cause nervousness became opportunities to show presence. Colleagues noticed. Customers too. "You seem more centered," they said. And he knew. It was the side effect of being in tune with your own body, with a clear mind and high energy. Conversations, previously accelerated or disconnected, now flowed naturally. It was as if he was really there, living in the moment. Everyday stress seemed less, as if he had gained invisible emotional armor. And this wasn't just a mental advantage, it was a portal to prosperity in all areas. Because when you feel good about yourself, everything around you reorganizes itself. And that's when he realized, the path to retention goes far beyond the physical. If you've made it this far, you've already realized that semen retention isn't just about holding back. It's about transforming. With each passing day, you can access more energy, more clarity, more connection with the Creator of the universe, and that changes everything. The question that remains is, why continue living on autopilot if you can live with intensity, focus, peace, and true prosperity? How many times have you felt like you could be more, but didn't know where to start? How many times have you fallen into the same habits that weaken you, even though you know they take you away from your essence? What if the secret was precisely in what no one taught you to value? Are you ready to really change your life, or are you going to continue living half-heartedly? Comment below. Which of these 21 observations moved you the most? Tell me your experience, your doubts, or your curiosity. I read everything. And of course, if this content made you reflect, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and activate the bell. Here, we will continue to learn, grow, and awaken together. The path of light is just the beginning. Don't leave it for later. Click on the first pinned comment, purchase the ebook, and start changing your energy, your mind, and your life today.